guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I'm gonna be reviewing this palette, mainly this one because I really didn't use this one honestly, but I'm gonna be reviewing this palette. You guys are gonna be seeing how they apply on my eyelid, and as you can tell, this is the look I created, which is very pretty. I really like how the look came out. So these two palettes, I actually found them in Target. They had a section of a $10 where everything on that section was $10, and they had like a whole bunch of palettes from different brands. This one is from the brand Kai. If you could see it on this one a little better. But there was other kind of brands too, but this one is the one that actually stood out to me. Well, these two palettes, just because you have like your neutral shades and then you have your very colorful shades. And I saw these palettes, I thought, I don't think they're gonna be as good quality just because they were so cheap, and I had never heard of that brand either. I actually kind of opened a palette and I stuck my finger in there and kind of just swatched two shades from each palette just to make sure they're both kind of like on the same track of quality, and they actually swatched out really smooth on my finger. So as soon as I felt that, I was like, I'm just gonna take these and I'm probably just gonna review them and see how well they work on the eyes. So if you guys are interested in how I got this look with this makeup palette, then just stay tuned. Also, you guys are gonna notice that I start off the video with a voiceover because towards the end of the makeup look I was honestly almost done and I noticed that my microphone was off, so I am gonna do a voiceover for almost the whole video. Towards the end I turned it on, which was the moment that I realized that it was off, but yeah. Alright guys, so we're gonna get started. So I'm just debating here whether I wanted to use the colorful palette or the neutral palette. I honestly had no idea what I was going for, but I know the neutral palette was really calling my attention, and obviously who doesn't like a neutral eye look? So I ended up picking this one, and as you can see, I'm opening it up. I honestly was waiting to review this palette. And for the first shade, I'm going in with the shade Leather, which was just like a creamy white shade. And I'm placing that all over the lid. Kind of just preparing the whole eyelid for the next shadows. That way it's a little bit more smooth to blend the upcoming shadows. And right off the bat, as soon as I picked up the shade, it did have like a baby powdery smell. It wasn't anything like strong smelling. It was kind of soft, but it did have that smell to it. For the next shade, I'm going in with Mahogany. And I'm actually going to focus this shade in the crease and I'm bringing it up a little bit. I did notice that this shade was super smooth to blend out. And of course, with any eyeshadow, you want to take your time blending, but I did notice that this eyeshadow was actually very easy to blend. Next, I'm picking up this shade called Barista, and this one is like a little darker brown shade, and we're going to focus that in the crease and bringing it down just a little bit. And again, make sure you blend. But if you guys do end up getting this palette, you're gonna see it's very easy to blend these shades. Like, you don't need to be hurting your hand too much because these shadows actually made it very easy to blend. Right here, I was so undecided on what shade to use next, but I do end up choosing that top corner shade called called Ice Latte, which was a deeper brown shade. And I'm focusing that in the outer corner, bringing it into the crease again, and trying not to bringing it up. Basically just focusing it in the crease, and then if anything, just bring it down. And what I actually said was that this shade, or these shades so far, were not choppy at all. Like I said again, they were super smooth. Next, I'm going in with this more tapered brush, which was this little smaller brush, and I'm going in with that like darker burgundy shade, and it was called Toasted Almond. And I'm actually focusing that in the outer corner of my eye, kind of just adding more dimension to the eye. And I'm kind of dragging it outward a little bit. And again, you want to take your time blending. Here, I'm going in with a clean brush with no additional eyeshadow and just making sure everything is well blended. Here, I'm kind of talking about the shimmer shades. I was, again, undecided on what shimmer shade to use. I do end up using the shade called French Press, which I'll be showing you guys here. This is actually a swatch of that, and it was like a goldish shimmer shade. It was really pretty. As you guys could see the swatch there. Next, I'm going in with the shade Chocolate, which is that one right there, and that is the swatch. It was actually a lighter shade. I expected it to be a little darker, but it actually ended up being a little lighter. But it wasn't a bad color. Next, I swatched Truffle, and as you could see, it was a little darker shade. This shade right here is called Macchiato, and it was a very pretty color, but I was not going to use that on my lid. My lid was already pretty dramatic, so I didn't want to add that shade to it. And this shade right here is called Espresso, which was like a creamy white color. And here I'm going in with the color French Press and just applying that on my eyelid. It was a very subtle shade. It wasn't like a dramatic shimmer, but I actually really loved how it came out, because it still like stood out, but it wasn't anything like dramatic. It was subtle, but you still noticed it. It was really pretty. So here I actually tried the shimmer shade wet. So I picked up the shade and wet the brush to see if it would intensify the shimmer, but it actually didn't make a huge difference. As you guys could see, it honestly kind of looks the same. And then I'm picking up that Toasted Almond shade and then kind of just blending that outer corner a little bit with the shimmer shade. You want to make sure there's no harsh lines. And here I'm going in again with that clean brush and making sure everything is blended. I'm going in with mahogany, and then basically I'm going to move on to the lower lash line, and I'm using the same shadows that I used for the top lid for the bottom. So I go in with mahogany, and then barista, and then iced latte, and then toasted almond. You guys could see I just poked my eye, and this is so funny. Right here you guys could see the look on my face. This is when I realized that my mic was off, and I was actually so shocked and so thrown off. I was debating on whether to turn it on and just continue talking or just leaving it off and keeping the voiceover, but I actually decided to turn on the mic. Alright guys, so I actually just realized that my mic has been off this whole time. So, it's probably gonna be a voiceover by now, so I just decided to turn it on just because. But yep, as you guys saw, I'm on the lower lash line, and then I'm gonna go in with barista, which is this shade right here. So we're just gonna go over that. Then going on with iced latte and going over that. And this time I'm only going to try and focus it on the outer part of the lower lash line. Last but not least, I'm going to go in with the toasted almond and then focus that again on the outer part of the eye. And then I'm going to kind of connect it to the top of the eyelid. And I'm going to bring this one a little bit lower. Just add a little bit of black eyeliner and probably just very tight, as close as I can to my lash line. And maybe just add like a tiny wing. Just a tiny one. Alright guys, so I'm going to move on to my eyelashes. I'm going to curl them and then apply my mascara, and then I'll come back and show you what eyelashes I'll be using. Alright guys, so I'm back, and I think for lashes I'm going to do these by Kiss, and they're in the name Page Boy. I was really undecided. Undecided? Is that the word? Undecided. I guess it is. Undecided of which lashes to use. I was in between these, and then I was in between the Demi Wispies. But then I don't think I've ever used these before. And then I have a whole pack. So I was like, why not? Why not? This glue stinks. I don't think I've applied lashes in like a really long time. I didn't even notice, I don't know if you guys could tell on camera, but I grabbed the gray colored one. I didn't even know they had this shade in lash glue. So I'm gonna apply the other one off camera and then I'll be right back. Alright guys, so I have applied the other lash and this is the completed eye look. So my final thoughts on the palette, because I didn't use this other one, but maybe in another video I'll use it. But if it's the same as this other eyeshadow palette, the one that I used, honestly I'm actually very impressed for the price of this palette. The shadows are super smooth. They do smell, like I mentioned in the video, they smell like powder. It's not like anything strong, but it does have that smell. The shadows were super easy to blend and they were very soft on my eyelid. The only bad thing I could say about this palette is the shimmer shades. So the shimmer shades were actually not that pigmented. I actually did want to try espresso for my inner corner, so I'm just gonna go ahead and actually do that. It's actually very pretty too. I can say that the brown toned shimmer shades all look very similar. They're just a little bit off and they are a little different. I really liked French Press. That's the one I used for my lid, and it's an actually very pretty color. I did swatch chocolate and I did swatch, I think, truffle, and they're very, I don't know. Chocolate was actually super light and truffle was actually not too bad, but honestly out of all the brown shimmers on this palette, French Press was my favorite one. But honestly guys, for $10 this palette is actually really nice. I was even actually thinking, since Christmas and like the holidays are coming up, or even for somebody's birthday during this holiday, you can get them this palette and just for $10. And then they also have, like I said, this one. These were their only two palettes that they had, at least from the brand Kai, which you could see the name up here in that corner. So overall, I'm very impressed with this palette. For the price, you honestly can't beat it, and especially for all the shades that it has, it's a very nice palette.